The game has changed a lot recently. That's understandable, there's been lots of changes. I guess a lot of people have been left wondering why they do less damage and what they should really do to change that. I've always been a firm believer in the Livid Dagger's abilities. But recently, its bonus attack speed has basically been slashed in half. Now I know for a fact it's not just me that would have said that the Livid Dagger is probably the most superior weapon for the price. Just the amount of extra abilities and perks it has for the coins was pretty ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, everything still stands except its bonus attack speed, which is slightly disappointing. Although if you take a look at the Livid Dagger's stats, and you compare that to the stats of the Shadow Fury, yeah, we've got a contender. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Shadow Fury, we're going to be taking a look at the Livid Dagger, we're going to be comparing them, and we're going to be seeing which weapon is better for the price. It's as simple as that. So first of all, a clean Shadow Fury is 42 mil, and a clean Livid Dagger is 6.6 mil. And for a Livid Dagger similar to what I actually have right now, we're looking at about 22 mil, whereas the Shadow Furies are around about 66 to 67 mil. Anyone that's not played the game for probably about a week or a week and a half will probably be thinking, what on earth happened to those prices? Basically the balancing update sort of adjusted some prices, let's say. Anyway, let's take a look at the stats. So the stats that I'm going to be reading out are based off a base Shadow Fury and a base Livid Dagger with no upgrades whatsoever. So Shadow Fury is legendary, and the Livid Dagger is also the legendary rarity. So the Shadow Fury gives plus 300 damage, whereas the Livid Dagger gives plus 210 damage. The Shadow Fury gives plus 125 strength, whereas the Livid Dagger gives plus 60 strength. From there, the Shadow Fury gives plus 30 speed, and the Livid Dagger gives plus 100% crit chance, plus 50% crit damage, and plus 50% bonus attack speed. Now just from the stats alone, we can see obviously the Livid Dagger is given a crit damage bonus, which could be beneficial for instance in dungeons, whereas the Shadow Fury seems to sort of make up for it in everything else. So I guess it's time to see how much damage these two weapons actually deal. But before we do, as you all know, we've got a plug at some point, so now's the time. And that's because at the moment we're actually trying to beat the population of San Marino with subscribers. Now the population of San Marino is around about that of YouTube rank. And the plan is to actually visit San Marino in a video. If we get to YouTube rank, we'll be able to claim we have more subscribers than the population of the whole country, which would be, yeah, pretty mad. All I'm trying to say is make sure you are subscribed to the channel, it would help out a lot. Anyway, back to the video. So for this test, we're going to be using this Necron set with a Tarantula helmet, also this level 100 Tiger Pet, and accessories are unhurtful, tunings or crit damage. So first of all, the Livid Dagger. 277k damage, which really isn't too bad if we could just hit again, just to make sure. I think that was a back hit somehow, so 277k we'll say. We'll move on to the Shadow Fury, and if I could actually get a kill, 492k. It's a lot of damage. 493k. So on a regular hit, under normal circumstances, the Shadow Fury is going to be doing around about 220k more damage than the Livid Dagger, which is ridiculous. Now of course with the Livid Dagger, if you get a back hit, doubles the damage, so that was over 600k damage, 629k damage. We can also right click with the Livid Dagger, which throws a, well, I guess a dagger which does 340k, so it's not too bad. Also with the Shadow Fury, if you right click, it teleports you behind enemies and kills them straight away, which is pretty cool, not gonna lie. Although when looking at weapons, damage isn't the only thing to consider. For instance, the Livid Dagger does give you 50% bonus attack speed, which is better than nothing. The Shadow Fury doesn't give you anything in terms of bonus attack speed. For earlier game players this could be useful, although getting your attack speed up isn't really that difficult, so in the grand scheme it's probably not a massive factor. The 100% crit chance, same again for earlier game players, could be very useful. Then again, it's not too difficult to actually achieve without this. Obviously the Shadow Fury gives you plus 44 speed, which is quite a nice bonus. Also, people might question, should they use One for All or should they use basically other enchantments? And I guess that ultimately comes down what you're using the weapon for and preference. Realistically, One for All is probably going to deal the most consistent amount of damage. I mean, it will do. Like for instance, Soul Eater would essentially do more damage sometimes. It depends on the last mob that you killed. One for All is just consistent. It's much easier to compare weapons using One for All, so that's why I've used One for All. Plus, I just prefer that to your other standard enchantments. Personally, it's just my preference. And also probably the main factor for a lot of people who are deciding between these two weapons is the price. The Livid Dagger is around about 40 to 45 mil cheaper than the Shadow Fury. So I guess a lot of people probably are only going to be able to actually afford the Livid Dagger, which is still not bad. The Shadow Fury does more damage. In my opinion, it's probably actually a better weapon now, considering the perks that the two weapons have. but it is way more expensive. Also, in terms of accessibility, both weapons have a floor 5 completion requirement, so if you can use a Livid Dagger, you can also use a Shadow Fury. Anyway, now we've got that out of the way, obviously if you're going to be, using these two weapons, the odds are you're probably going to be playing dungeons, I would assume. So it's about time that we give them a proper test. Okay, we're using the same setup as before with the two weapons, let's see. Okay, first of all we're going to try out the Shadow Fury, so it's going to do about 6.97 mil damage, somewhere around about that, one tap in the 40 Lost Adventures, as you probably expect. And as for the Livid Dagger, 3.4 mil, 4.5, so you can see just basically the enormous sort of difference in damage. Like there is quite a big difference, not going to lie. Anyway, we're going to test out the Shadow Fury's ability actually in sort of practice, so we're going to basically just destroy everything, which is pretty cool. Granted, you can't really teleport behind that many mobs, probably the limit is like 3 or 4, but I'm pretty impressed by this weapon. In the Livid Dagger we can try our right click ability. Does a decent amount of damage, but we can't. I mean, it's on quite a large cooldown, to be honest. So it's a little bit impractical, not gonna lie. Nevertheless, Livid Dagger once again. I mean, for lower floors, it is gonna tear up. Now, what I would say is neither of these weapons are actually great for clearing. So you're probably gonna want to put a Flower of Truth, I guess, along with this. Obviously, that's been essentially nerfed recently as well. I would suggest a Juju, but I would assume at this point, if you're probably looking to get a Livid Dagger, you probably can't use a Juju, so yeah. So, that only leaves one question. Not so much which is better, but which weapon should you buy, Livid Dagger or Shadow Fury? So it completely depends on how many coins you've got. If you don't have enough for a Shadow Fury, buy a Livid Dagger. If you have enough for a Shadow Fury, I don't know, Shadow Furies are expensive at the moment. I'm thinking maybe the bubble will burst and it might drop a little bit going forward. I don't know how much that will be. But the Shadow Fury is definitely a better weapon. It deals more damage. Obviously the Livid Dagger has its own unique perks like the crit chance and the attack speed. Obviously the attack speed's been nerfed and so on. But the Shadow Fury just deals so much more damage that it really does sway my opinion. And the fact that it is quite easy to get 100% crit chance and bonus attack speed anyway. Yeah, I guess it all just depends on how many coins you've got. Anyway, that is going to be just about the end of today's video. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you did, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.